desert.
But the fact is that in probably, well, I forget what the figure is, but it's something like 8 out of 10, I think, or 9 out of 10 times they don't actually get it.
No, they miss,
So, and I think that this, I mean, there was no two ways about it. It was absolutely fantastic the way that fish calculated everything and jumped out of the water, But what he didn't sort of say that might have been the 100th time that fish had tried it.
Well, no, they did show you, didn't they? They did show you, to be fair, they did show you times when it didn't.
They showed you a couple of times, but they probably didn't. Well, they didn't show you
100 times.
They didn't show you the 20 times or whatever it was that
Well, there's going to be a percentage of hit and miss involved in it, but when they get it right, they get it really right.
That's a cue for a show.
Oh.
Yeah. Fish get it right. But also, the fascinating communications that exist between fish.
Well, between all animals. Well, the dolphins on there. The dolphins, and they talk to each other. And they did you see the bit where they were with the whales? They gang up with a school of whales every year, and they
reckon they're friends.
Yeah,
they reckon recognize each other.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Well, I suppose they probably do.
Is that how a dolphin speaks, mate? I like the listener. You should see the face, because the facial expressions are something. In fact, what I might do is I might just take a photograph of you, Mike.
Oh, goodness gracious!
I want to take a photograph of Mike
being a dolphin.
Moving on. You got any more stories?
Oh, yes, I have actually.
Right, here we go.
All right, here we go, take Mike. That one.
I want do your dolphin look.
Dolphin Mike.
Oh, hey,
cool. What's happening here?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Let me try taking a photo.
iPhone 8 isn't going to...
Ready? Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there he is.
He's got it right. Okay.
Look at the Facebook page, people. It'll be on there soon.
It'll be on there soon. It's going to take me a little while, because...
Listener, we're going to move on because time is. We got less than 45 minutes of the show this morning, and it's been a bit boring, really. So I'm going to
busy this morning.
I'm going to throw this one in because I know that Bob is an avid football fan, and I don't.
Are you going to talk about Evra?
No. I'm going to talk about this question: why is it as soon as a team starts to lose that the manager is sacked?
Don't ask me.
Well, no, but I mean, this is the thing, If it happened in a factory or an office, the manager wouldn't be sacked. It would be the individuals for not pulling their weight.
Well, it should be more like the board of directors that are sacked, because most of the board of directors know nothing about football.
Well, regardless of that, there are 11 men on the pitch. Any one of those could score the goal. Even the goalkeeper.
Yeah, been known.
Technically.
Well, it's been known. Pat Jennings scored, several goalkeepers.
That's right. But so why at the end of the day is the fact that it's the manager that's it's the one who's sacked just because the team's lost for
he picks the team, and it's his tactics. This is the theory behind it.
Yeah, but okay.
But they don't give him a chance, do they? They really don't give him a chance.
No, and I think he's wrong. I do really, honestly and utterly believe that it's wrong. It must be, mind you. You see, the managers are changing now, left, right, and centre, aren't they? They seem to be changing. To my mind, I don't follow football in any shape or form, but it seems to me that every single week, almost, you've got, and they're all big name teams as well.
Plus, the payoffs they get when they go.
It's unbelievable.
You can't feel sorry for being out of work, can you?
Well, the clever people. I mean, that England's manager who got a 4-year contract or something.
Which one we talking about, Sven or
no, the one after that, the one that's just been sacked.
Roy.
Yeah,
Roy Hodgson.
Roy, yeah. I mean, he's on a 4-year contract or something on £3 million a year or whatever it was, and he gets sacked. So, we all got to feel sorry for him because the bloke hasn't got a job, but
yes, he's at Crystal Palace now.
Crystal Palace, and they're not doing very well, are they?
Well, they've had a draw and a win since he's been there, they hadn't even scored a goal before he got there.
No, but that bloke has got more money in him. He doesn't have to. He could go off somewhere and live in luxury for the rest of his life as the payoff.
It would be nice to see some younger guys getting the opportunity, I think, in Premiership management. But more to the point, did you see the kick of Evra, Patrick Evra for Lyon before a game? He did a Cantona leap into the crowd, a drop kick on somebody, kicked somebody in the head in the crowd.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
that's not very friendly.
He used to play for Manchester United, didn't he, Evra? So he's going to be banned, isn't he?
Well, he should
have been arrested. Actually,
should prisoners have the right to vote?
I don't know about this. I'm two minds. What do you think?
I don't think they should. I think that when somebody's
probably
incarcerated,
swinging that way, to be honest.
When somebody's incarcerated, they should have a lot more taken away from them than just the fact that they're locked up behind bars.
Yeah, behind a bar, that'd be nice. Getting locked up behind a bar, wouldn't it? After closing time.
They've got games they can play. They've got televisions. They've got Xboxes. They've got cells. They don't have to do slopping out anymore because that's against human dignity.
Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sake! All right. There are some people who are in prison who shouldn't really, in my opinion, be in prison. They might have done just a little bit of mischief and that sort of thing. And lots of them are intelligent and clever people, especially the sort of the fraudsters and things like that, But at the end of the day, it's they're not drug dealers or anything. I was listening to somebody yesterday talking about they went into Luton only a couple of weeks ago, and he was walking down the street, and a lad came up to him on a bike. A young lad, about 14 or 15, and stopped and opened his hand and said, "Do you want any of these, mister?" And this lad said, "No, thanks." Drugs he was giving. And he said, well, if you don't, he said, "Is there any other sort of drugs that you want?" He said, "I'll get them for you."
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, it's what Alan says, isn't it?
It's open as that,
Well, it's what about these acid attacks? There's been another one in Walden, two, in fact. One in Walden, so one in Tottenham.
Yeah.
It seems probably it's the same gang doing it because it's close by.
But going back to prisoners and the votes, I mean, it's... somebody suggests they should have a postal vote.
Really?
Well, they can't let them out, can they? They can't take them down and change them.
The sort of thing they would do, isn't it?
Well,
I think actually, if you are a citizen of this country and you're a prisoner, you should lose certain rights. I think the right to vote... On balance, I think the prisoners should have the right to vote. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
because I've not really got any great views on this, to be honest.
Well, I think the reason being that at the end of the day, it's Parliament that makes the law. And they're voting for the law that has put them behind bars.
Yeah.
And if they want to vote and reinforce that law, well, then so be it. Because they've bought into the system, haven't they? Prisoners have bought into the system in the sense that they are part of the society. We put them away to take them away from sections of society, and we allow prisoners to, we give them a certain amount of latitude. I think, I'm thinking about it. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud, which must be great radio, but I'm thinking out loud. But thinking out loud, on balance, I think prisoners should be allowed to vote.
Okay, what about lowering the voting age to 16 as Corbyn is proposing?
Well, Corbyn's doing that because he knows that he'll bring a lot of young voters.
Yeah, because he appeals to them, doesn't he?
Yeah, he appeals to children.
So I think, no, certainly not right, lower it.
He appeals to children because of his simplistic politics, which are for, they're designed, the messages are designed for people that aren't real deep thinkers. They're very, very sort of, very sort of basic messages. We want the world to be a beautiful place. And then he makes lots of promises like, let's all get rid of student fees. And then he sort of retracts them again. He goes, well, we can't actually do that. But it's a nice promise, isn't it? Yeah,
I've got to say, I'm getting to the point where I can't stand watching Corbyn. I just do not like the way he talks to people. I think he tries to undermine people.
And he's doing very well. I mean, in all fairness...
Maybe so. I think he is.
As a politician, he's hitting some really good buttons. He's telling the people what they want to hear. I mean, I wouldn't have him run the country if it was the last thing that happened. But if I wanted to find somebody who'd be very popular with children, well, there you go. He's the man. I mean, he's Obi-Wan Kenobi, isn't he? He's like a Star Wars Grand Master. He even looks the part. So all credit to him. And he manages to pull thousands of people on the street because they don't really understand. the young people, they haven't experienced the extremes of left-wing politicians.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Because, well, it's always going to be an easy sell, isn't it, to the young? And throughout history, the young have always gone for this sort of, Corbynite type, we'll make it a beautiful planet full of beautiful people doing beautiful things and all that good stuff, and it's really lovely.
Mallyon's thought for the day on most days. However, I think the debate goes deeper than just the voting, because the thing is, you can't legally get hold of all sorts of things until you're actually 18. You can't join the army and fight unless you have parental consent if you're under the age of 18. There's lots of other things. So I think that we really need to take a look at the whole gambit of what you can do at 18 as to what you can't do. 18 years of age, you've got to be 18. Well, I think you've got to be 21 actually to drive a heavy goods vehicle, or used to be at any rate. That's probably been brought down to 12 now. But I think they need to standardise the whole thing, because it seems really rather ludicrous that in Scotland they gave the vote to the 16-year-olds, and yet they couldn't marry under 18. So you can't even buy a lottery ticket, can you? You can't even buy a lottery ticket, So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. That if we're going to do that, we've got to wipe the slate clean and say, right, okay, kids, when you get to 16 years of age, you're fully grown adult, you do what the hell you like, and that's it. Or you can vote, you can, do it, and all that stuff, which, in itself is absolute total stupidity, So,
well, they did this thing in America, didn't they? They did a program where they took this kid of 16, I think it was, round. They took him to a bar. Of course, he couldn't get served because he was underage. They took him to a shop to buy cigarettes. He couldn't buy cigarettes because he was underage. Likewise with a lottery ticket. And then they took him to a gun shop and he could buy a gun.
Yeah. I know.
Where is the logic in that?
Well, there isn't, is there? That's it's an illogical world we live in, isn't it? Because there's a householder who is fuming after he was fined £50 for putting out rubbish for recycling too early. His hard-left, Labour-dominated council told him he had put out his bags for collection outside of appropriate hours, but it has never made clear what those hours are.
Yeah.
Eco-friendly lawyer, Angus Hamilton, has been a keen recycler at his home in Clerkenwell, which lies within the North London borough of Islington, since special collections were brought in. But he was issued with a fine after putting his recycling out in the street at 12:06 p.m. on September the 30th. The council's website says only that bags should be collected from his address every evening. The authority doesn't spell out which residents are allowed to put them outside. And when Hamilton, who's lived in his street for 16 years, has now successfully challenged the £50 fine imposed by Islington Council, he said, I find it utterly ludicrous. The council is simultaneously trying to encourage recycling and issuing penalties for following that policy. Calling the council's actions a farce, he added, I'm not surprised whether there is a desperate grab to money. This is a desperate grab to money on part of a cash-strapped council, or just terminal stupidity.
Bit of both, I would think.
Mr. Angus Hamilton, I think it's crash stupidity. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I will say, I'm going to praise Milton Keynes Council because their rubbish collection is second to none. They do it regularly on a weekly basis. I was looking at a thing the other day, and apparently there is a tremendous amount of stuff that we here in Milton Keynes are putting into pink sacks, which actually no way can be recycled.
That's right, yeah.
There's plastic,
these black
yogurt
things,
containers,
and containers for fruit and veg, aren't
yes,
they? The base thing.
The plastics that some of these things come in, they just can't be recycled.
Well, in this day and age, you think something would have been sorted out on this, and either there'd be a ban on selling using these products by manufacturers, or they'd find a way of recycling them by now.
Well,
the problem is, of course, there's also no standardisation about recycling, is there?
There isn't, no.
There should be. I think it should be a national guideline or a national rule, if not a guideline, to follow.
You're absolutely right. It's just come out to 8:30 here. 9:30.
What if it's still raining?
9:30 here in Milton Keynes. Good morning, I'm Mike Barry.
I'm Bob Bluffield.
I'm Alan Mallyon.
And together we are
the Grumpy Old Men.